What's going on, folks? This is Trey Wynn coming to you live. It is 7 o'clock on a Monday, guys. How we doing?
Good, man. Good.
Good.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Yeah, we're actually coming to you live tonight from Casa de Kibben in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've got Chase Green here, Kurt McKibben here as well. We're going to be talking all things Tennessee sports and everything between. We've got a lot to cover with the Vols getting a huge win this weekend. It's now kind of transitioning into BAMA hate week. The Titans have choked once again.
Another heartbreak.
To the Ravens. The former, I guess they're still kind of a rival. I mean,
yeah.
On the level of hatred, I think the Jags take the first. Texans and then Ravens are probably third or fourth there. At least for me personally. But Braves did extend the snicker today.
Yes, sir.
Made a couple moves with, as far as pitching coach, I know we'll kind of get into that. They had a couple moves there. And then the Predators, which I'm repping, they're actually playing in an hour. Are on top, number 2 currently in the power rankings.
Yeah.
4-1 going into the night, which will be fun. But Chase, take it away, brother.
Yeah, man. Since we are broadcasting live, just let us know what your thoughts are, opinions, questions, of course. What we want every week. We want you to be interactive. So let us know.
Also, if you, like me, have a power tee embroidered on your heart, if your elbow has a little hitch in it, if your peace sign goes upside down and bends a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And if you believe that two-tone blue, baby, just give us a like, a share. Just tell your friends about us because, by golly, we're your friend too, you know? So just get us out there.
Absolutely, guys. Like we said, it's been a busy, crazy weekend in Tennessee sports, and we'll talk some other things here. But number one, the Patriots and the Chiefs kicked off last night to kind of settle who's the more dominant team in the AFC. And it was a tight one. I didn't actually watch the entire game, but saw some highlights and actually watched a part of it. But Mahomes was knocked out, kind of like a Joe Frazier. Down goes Mahomes last night with the Pats. They did get the win over the Chiefs in Foxborough, which was, again, I think, under 25. If you need to get that, you can go grab it. But it's something that under 25-year-old quarterbacks are actually still 24-0 at Foxborough. And that's just something that, over time, I'm sure eventually somebody will have the talent to do it.
Yeah.
But on a last-second field goal to win, the only remaining team after last night is the LA Rams, currently sitting, I believe it's 5-0.
Yeah.
But what a crazy night, crazy game. What do you think about the old Pats taking the lead in the AFC?
Well, Mahomes struggled a little bit early. Got his first 2 picks, am I correct? That's his first pick.
His ratio is a little bit off.
Yeah, I guess, you know.
Takes a hit.
Yeah, he had a tough go in the first half, but man, like I said, I didn't watch the whole game either.
Right.
But I did watch up until the middle of third, and you saw at the end of the stats that your boy came back, wound up with 4 TDs. Tyreek Hill played an awesome game again. Those guys have an awesome connection.
Mm-hmm.
But Mahomes still has that potential, and obviously they made it a great game, and seems like it was pretty high scoring. Not a lot of defense played by either team. So.
Which is not the average for an NFL game. It seemed more like a college game to have a 40-40 at the end, almost of regulation, which the Pats did kick that. Gostkowski, I believe, is the kickers. I always think from Memphis.
University of Memphis, not from Memphis.
That's where it ties in.
Yeah.
We'll take that for some Chat 10 sports.
Eddie Elliott and Gostkowski, the pride of the University of Memphis Tigers.
Wow.
Kicker you, man.
Cheers to those guys. Moving on, we've got Johnny Bones Jones coming back. Obviously, Connor and Khabib was a big conversation with the post-fight melee and brawl. Johnny Bones coming back from his big suspension after, I don't know if it was the wreck or the drug use or what kind of stint or what time it was.
Yeah.
But he'll be taking on Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 232 in December, which is supposed to be a pretty good card. I know people are still kind of feeling out women fighting, but there is actually a big name with Cyborg fighting, so we'll keep an eye on that. But one of the coolest things over the weekend for anyone that was watching some college football, the Hockedad, which has now been the most viral video probably in the last 6 months. But LSU defensive end Braden Fihoko, who is a Hawaiian native, his dad and brother greeted him with a haka, which is it's made famous by the New Zealand All Blacks with the Maori war dance, and they do that in a symbol of respect and support for loved ones and for family before they go into a battle But yeah, if you haven't seen that, go into YouTube. I know Grandpa Kurt here, who's not on social media.
Caught it before the show.
Yeah, we had to show him that.
Just
So
a day late.
yeah, go check out Hockadad, which is pretty cool. And guys, I'm gonna kind of throw this on the table, let you guys talk about it. MLB playoffs are heating up. Both series are tied at 1-1. Tomorrow night they continue on Tuesday. I think in prime time, obviously. But who are y'all picking to win the pennant? Not the peanut.
Not the peanut. I saw a quick glance earlier and I thought it said peanut, not pennant. Sorry. I hadn't had my
Pretty cool to win.
Yeah, I hadn't had my coffee yet. So, but I came in today thinking, I still think it's the Red Sox. I think they're the best roster in baseball. Mookie, Nashville native.
Yeah, ayo.
So
Mookie Betts.
yeah, I actually played pickup basketball with Mookie one time.
Dropping that name, baby.
Yeah, he is also an amazing basketball player, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, 300 bowler also, I think so. just an incredible athlete. Just an incredible athlete. So that's still I'm picking. Just awesome lineup right now. So
By the way, sorry to circle back here, but Mahomes, Hill, and Hunt made 132 points in fantasy
Good gosh.
yesterday. So if anybody had those guys,
You're doing okay.
good for you.
I don't know if you had on the same team, but my brother was saying, man, those guys made up quite the combination for anybody in the fantasy football world.
Yep.
But wow, yeah, give me your thoughts.
So
I'm
you got
sorry.
the AL. I'm gonna go NL, obviously. Braves.
Yeah.
But I think the Dodgers do take it. Brewers did a lot right at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I still think, like you said, the best roster money can buy. The Yankees been pulling that card for years. This year it's going to be the Red Sox and the Dodgers pulling the card, and looks to be paying off. All
Yeah.
puns intended there.
Yeah, that should be a great series. That's a lot of cash, a lot of talent. Yeah.
Money doesn't even matter nowadays. We were just talking, who was it? Miles Tucker for the Pacers got a 4-year, $72 million.
Yeah.
Easy cash on a Monday. You
It's
know.
sweet
Nothing.
Monday.
Nothing us peasants would know about,
Yeah.
comparatively speaking. But anyways, moving on here, the Oakland Raiders actually are putting Amari Cooper on the trade block. As of today, I was driving over to Casa de McKibben, and the Raiders are wanting the first-round pick. My question, Titans obviously are needing some receiver help. Do you think John Robinson gives Reggie McKenzie's dad, Reggie McKenzie, I was thinking of Khalil's, but does he give Reggie McKenzie a phone call about Amari Cooper?
I don't know if he is worth a first round pick. I'm sure he will. It is JR. So with JR, you know that you're going to work some schemes. He's been great for most of his signings. I
Right.
think we're going to discuss the Malcolm Butler signing later
Yeah.
on here. But
You might want to keep it quiet for just a
yeah,
little while.
let's keep that on the DL. So we'll see. I think you got to at least make a call and see what it's about, but don't give up a first rounder. Not for Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
He's had some great games. We've all seen him, but I just don't think he's worth the first rounder.
One guy for the Raiders, which it seems like Gruden is putting everybody on the table and saying, we'll look at anybody. Obviously, after Khalil Mack, there's really no returning after that. But I've heard rumors that Carl Joseph, their safety, who is a West Virginia player, hard hitter, kind of a smaller guy, but I know Vaccaro's been out for the Titans. I know I'm one of the fans that still trusts John Robinson,
Yeah.
although the Malcolm Butler, like Chase said, we'll kind of jump into that more later.
I think you got to take a shot, though. I
Yeah.
mean, at this point, we haven't seen a receiver take over, the exception of Corey Davis in that big win against
Right.
Philly.
Exactly.
I'm still sticking to my guns in the fact that I think Corey Davis is a phenomenal wide receiver 2 on any team. I think you got to take a shot. I don't know if it is Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Even if it does mean giving up something as big as a first round pick, you got to try. At this point, we have to try.
That's steep though. And then my brother came in saying first round's pretty steep for what they're asking for.
Yeah.
By the way, if anyone has just jumped in, we've got a few viewers here now. Do us a favor, share the show. Feel free to share your comments in the comment box on Facebook. Also, anyone that you know that's a Tennessee Titans fan, Braves fan, Predators fan, Vols fan, go ahead and invite them. Shoot a text to them. Feel free to have them join in here as well. It's going to be about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 long show, but we'd love to have your interactions with us. Moving on in the NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars got worked yesterday, 40-7 by the old Dallas Cowboys, which means the Titans somehow remain in first place.
Yep.
I know that the AFC South prior to the season starting was of the conversation of being no longer your uncle's AFC South where there's one dominant team. I don't know if we're all just mediocre teams right now, or if it's just something that's kind of going to get worked out. But it's one of those things. I think time will tell.
What happened? What happened to the Saxonville? What happened to that team last year that scared everyone? I mean, preseason pick for the AFC South. If you ask most experts, I do think the AFC South pretty bad this year, top to bottom. I think we're all mediocre. I think there are some pieces. I think Houston could still pull it together. We could still pull it together.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, I would hope could still. I mean, I hope they don't, obviously, but I'd like to think that same talent could create the same outcome this year. I mean, I wanted both teams to lose because they're playing the Cowboys, and let's be real here, no one likes the Cowboys.
Right.
But yeah, just all around surprise there by that outcome. I mean, to give that many points up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 40. I mean, Rex Ryan was on record today for. I know he's with ESPN. Kind of as an analyst for them now, but he said he said that defense is so overrated. It's not even funny. About Jacksonville,
really?
Which I know I saw Jalen Ramsey's post game presser, or kind of they were huddled around him at his locker, saying what's got to happen, what's got to go on.
Is that Rex or Rob?
Rex, yeah.
Either way, I would trust their defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. If they're gonna tell me which quarterback is best, I'm not really gonna listen too much. But like,
don't ask them about
defense. I mean, that's surprising because, I mean, I know Jalen Ramsey likes to run his mouth a lot, but like. I thought they were comprised of actually really good pieces, and I thought they deserved all the credit that they got last year.
Yeah.
This year,
different story for sure.
Matt Bortles is back,
He is, in a bad way. I mean, it's not the inconsistency where you see the bounce in one great game. He's had one, his second week Patriots, he went off.
Yeah. Went out and won the game.
He disappeared. We'll see what happens with the AFC South. Obviously, we'll keep a pretty close eye on that for the Tennessee Titans fans watching. But going to the NBA, Jimmy Butler prepares to has come out and said he prepares to play the home opener for the Timberwolves. Teammate, Andrew Wiggins has said that he does want Butler to stay. I know there's one. We'll talk about this a little bit later as well. But there's one real dominant team in the NBA with the Warriors. The Celtics are kind of coming around. But I know Jimmy Butler, and we talked about this prior to the show, but how do y'all see this panning out with Jimmy Butler? I know he probably wants to be the guy, but it's kind of a different league.
Similar to the Le'Veon Bell thing, I think that there's a generational thing here. Maybe, I hate to get off my lawn, millennial hate speech thing. But I think there's something to be said for somebody who was disgruntled in Chicago, and he called out his teammates for being soft there. He thought he was underpaid there. He comes to Minnesota, a team that is going to compete if they can pull it together. They've got Cat and Wiggins, Taj Gibson, some of those guys. There's Jeff Teague still there, maybe.
Yeah.
They've got pieces. But is it the team, or is it just a thing with Jimmy Butler? I think he really wanted to go play with his boy D Wade down in Miami. Yeah. That trade fell through, as we all know. He knew my main thing is he knew coming into this contract with the Wolves, he was not going to get that money this year.
Yeah.
He knew that Cat was due. He knew that Wiggins was due. He knew he was going to have to wait one additional year to see the kind of money that he thinks he's worth.
Right.
And my mentality, and we talked about it before the game, is next man up mentality. You have to have that as a team. Right. It doesn't matter. Look at James Conner in Pittsburgh.
111 yards, 2 touches yesterday.
It doesn't matter who you are, man. It's more about that name on the front of the jersey than your name on the back.
Yeah.
Put that in writing, baby. That's deep. Did I bring my snorkel down?
But for me, I'm in the same boat. I think Jimmy B wants to be that Jordan mentality, like I can do it all, and you just can't have that nowadays. You have to be that cohesive unit,
a part of the team.
You have to be, and I see where he's also coming from.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there also is a little bit of that millennial mentality with Wiggins and Cat, which Jimmy B called them out for not working hard enough.
Yeah.
So are they those guys? I don't know, man. I see Cat's improvement. Wiggins, maybe so. I haven't seen the big jump that I thought. I think he's still a great player. Don't get me wrong. and that big jump is to elite level because he's that kind of athlete. But he's a good player. I think he's going to be an all-star at some point. But
Yeah, and Wiggins, he has to be the third best player on the team.
yeah,
He doesn't even have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as a stretch wing guy goes, that's super good if that's your
Right.
third best player. In my opinion, I think Cat is the best player on the team.
same here.
I know Jimmy Butler is kind of more polished, established. He may look better, he may sell more tickets, but I think at the end of the day, Cat is the building block for which that team is going to build itself on. And if Jimmy Butler doesn't want to come on board, then sayonara, man. Like, next man up, as I said.
For sure.
Let's go out and find somebody that'll buy in. Tom Thibodeau up there is great with players, and he'll make it work with or without Jimmy. And that's what Jimmy has to realize. I mean, he's real good, and he's a top, probably top 10 wing player in the league.
Yeah.
But you're just as good as the guys around you, man. There's 5 of you out there for a reason. That's not golf.
Yeah,
It's
he
not
makes
that.
that a little toxic in there. And so, with that being around, you've got these two, I guess he's probably 5-6 years older than those guys.
Yeah.
You want to stay with that. You want to stay with that youth. You want to stay with that youth over Jimmy B. Because I think he's more talented, like you said.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy B would be smart to stay there. Honestly,
Exactly.
That's a blooming franchise, and he's not gonna, how he's gonna join the Warriors too? I mean, what's he looking for? Maybe LeBron out in LA. They talked about the Knicks possibly being a landing spot, but why?
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Let's move on here. Yeah, the NBA, it'll be, I know it warms up here and starts in the next month, a few weeks.
No. Starts Wednesday.
Does it really? I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. No,
Forget
we'll fire away on those.
I'll let you guys kind of take the reins with this.
Kurt's a Grizzlies fan and I'm a Hawks fan, so there could be some heartbreak this year as we talk about.
Which is something too. If any other fans, viewers out there are fans of those teams, feel free to give us a message, comment, and this show is to be catered for the viewer and the listener. So if you have anything that you want us to talk about, come NBA season, feel free to throw us a line there. One big story that we did see this last 24 hours is the Kansas City Chiefs receiver Tyreek Hill scores a touchdown against the Patriots in Foxborough. But Burrow almost not as a Lambeau leap, but goes into the crowd almost a little bit. There's plenty of birds being fired off from the crowd, and one guy in particular throws his silver bullet, Bud Light, on Tyreek Hill, which now is becoming something that the Patriots have actually acknowledged that they are taking action to ban the fan from coming back to Foxborough. Mm-hmm. And now Tyreek Hill and his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, is actually wanting to take legal action against that particular person. Being banned, and the question kind of proposes on our side, and we want your opinion here as well, and I'll copy and paste this into the chat log. Should a fan be legally charged for throwing a beer onto a player?
Kurt, boy, I know you got an opinion on this one.
I always have an opinion.
Fire away.
Does the act itself deserve a lawsuit? I don't think so. But I think with player safety, they kind of have to set a precedence that even in a, foggy mind state of drinking, God knows how many beers on game day, that someone still goes, I don't think I'm going to do this, because getting banned from the stadium, if it's a financial penalty, like your average Joe Blow is going to really think twice. I think it's not necessarily about the act itself. I think it's more to set a precedence to kind of
end it,
unencourage, people from doing this in the past, because then we all, I feel like I've been there, where I wanted to do something, yell something, or I never would throw anything.
No.
Especially after the infield fly rule for the Braves that year, when I was never more embarrassed to be a Braves fan with all the people throwing stuff on the field.
Right.
But I think that it needs to be done
at some point.
It looks cheap and petty, but at the same time, I think to me, it's going to start that conversation about player safety.
Yeah, for sure.
It's something you have to maintain to keep the integrity of the league.
What do you think, Chase?
I'm with you, Kurt. I think that you have to set the example, and this guy, you guys said it early on, because like you're saying, man, I know these guys make crazy money. I get that, but that still doesn't give you a right to throw a beer bottle or a beer can. I don't know if it was a can or a bottle.
Yeah.
it doesn't give you the right. Like, just because they're making more money than you, well, if you want to make the same money, be as good for Vols then. You know,
Right.
so it doesn't give you the right to just go out there. And I get it. You paid your money to get in the game to watch these guys, and you're paying their salary, but you can't throw stuff at them just because they're on the field and you think you have a right. So yeah, set that example. Let them know.
Yeah.
A little small stat here that I heard today. Patriots are undefeated at home against AFC teams when Edelman and Brady are in the lineup. Crazy. Think about
Deadly.
that for a second.
For sure.
I know we did our, I think it was week one we were together, we did our hot team. Obviously the Chiefs, you know, and I went the opposite way. I said, you know, I don't think the Jags are that good, but they played the Patriots, and they were getting Edelman back the next week, and I said, watch out, because
Yeah.
I mean, it feels. It's just something about Tom Brady and him. I don't know. They feel comfortable.
You got the good-looking white guy going. the little vibe they have going on. But to jump back to the fan throwing the beer on Tyreek Hill, the thing was it wasn't a plastic souvenir cup. It was a full-on aluminum bottle, and it wasn't the can. It was a blue Bud Light bottle. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which everyone who's drank knows that those style, you know, even like a Michelob Ultra, which has that long cylindrical type of can, or even a tall boy, like, you know, you got a Monster drink right there. It's one of those things. If those things are full, and you launch one of those things at someone on a field, and I mean, it's. I think legal action. It's like, what are you really legally going after as far as what is assault? Like, how do you really, you know, the verbiage on that? And what are you really going after? I think obviously the Patriots are doing the right thing in making sure that is communicated, especially for Boston's, you know, fan base. And there's been, and we talked about Ron Artest whenever he went to the crowd, like, what's to really stop Tyreek Hill from going after that guy and pulling him down, or on all the potential issues that could come from that. That's just something that
I don't think it matters if they win the lawsuit or even what angle. Just the fact that they're going after him is a statement in and of itself.
Yeah, very true.
Well, that wraps up the hot topics for the last weekend in football, baseball, basketball, and everything in between. We're going to jump into some Tennessee sports here, which tonight the Nashville Predators are going to take on the Minnesota Wild. Speaking of the Timberwolves, go on the other side of Minnesota sports teams, but right now NHL power rankings, the Preds did stay at the number 2 spot. And most, I know some of them vary from one to the other, but currently sitting 4-1, having some good success. Still pretty early on in the season, so there's no particular story that we're actually going after there. So it'll be a short one until we get.
Did you see the Austin Watson suspension got shortened?
That did actually. Yeah, he was at.
Losing.
He was at. What was it? I think 27 games, and it got reduced to 18. So
And I saw his girlfriend. I don't know if it's still, but maybe ex-girlfriend came out and said he didn't physically hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I didn't know that going in, because I was like, throw the fuck at him, because I'm tired of the athletes getting this rap about being abusive at home, especially collision sports like hockey players, football players. You start getting the CTE thing. With the, are they really all there after taking so many hits? And so I hate, you know, to see especially one of our Preds go down like that. And so I feel a little bit better knowing that he didn't, you know, maybe physically rough her up, maybe just verbally, maybe, you know, punched this. I think it was at a gas station, so maybe punched the hood of the car or something. I don't know. Something. But I think that's huge too, because our defense, as you said, you know, losing such a key veteran presence.
Scott Hartnell,
we need all hands on deck
for sure
back there, and he's a good player,
Yeah.
regardless of all this off field or off the ice thing. This past off season, can't deny the kid's good on the ice.
Yeah.
And luckily, there is a good culture, I think, within the Preds with those guys. They hang out, and it's similar to the Titans. I don't know if it's just a Nashville thing, but there's a lot. There's the cohesion that you want to see within the team there. So again, whatever took place, you know, innocent until proven guilty. So we don't know exactly what took place, but I'm glad to see that he's getting, you know, obviously in the heat of the moment. I want him to be done and throw the book at him. I'm sure that there were plenty of people saying that, but it's just something that over time I'm
Got the whole story.
Yeah. Both sides come out, and I'm sure a little clarity was brought there. But that kind of sums up the Predators. Obviously, like we were saying, we'll have some more stories as the season goes along. But moving on to the Braves. As of today, the Braves did say the GM's name.
Snitker.
No.
Annapolis
Yes.
and Annapolis or something.
That's a
I don't know,
GM.
something
Yeah.
Greekish.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
But he did extend Brian Snitker today to keep in the GM spot until 2021, which is great because if you're taking a team that we had last year that barely won 40 games,
Yeah.
making the playoffs this year, you want to go ahead and lock that guy up.
Yeah.
With the team making the playoffs, I'm curious to kind of pick you guys' brains about this. But with the team making the playoffs, what do you see the Braves doing and kind of going after to improve in the offseason?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so definitely's got to get. I think we got to get maybe a few more starters in there. We know Foltzy's going to be our guy right now. We've got some guys that have hung around and seen some big improvements. But with firing the pitching coach today, surely we have somebody in line. There has to be a big game plan behind this. So you just want to see a lot of drastic improvement from our young guys. That's just the main thing for me.
Yeah.
And then, just getting maybe a few starting rotation pitchers.
Yeah, I think Gosman was a big sign towards the end. He was struggling up there in Baltimore. He came down to Atlanta and just lights out. I mean, and you said you saw maybe he may stay. Chuck Hernandez it is stay with the team in some
different
capacity.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to say. Like I wrote an article last week. Shameless plug here. About that's the pitching coach that took a lot of minor league prospects and turned them into MLB arms. And like I said, I mean, starters wise, we're not hurting that bad. I don't think we have a real breadwinner,
No.
a guy that can pitch 2 games out of a 2 or 3 games out of a 7-game series, and we can just ride him through the
Right.
playoffs. We don't have that guy yet. But man, heading in the right direction. It was a weird move today when I got that update to see that Chuck
Same
Hernandez
thought.
was.
I guess my thought with it, because I feel like I know Fulton Lewis has been kind of on the rise. He's not been, and this is his first All-Star game, is that correct, for this season?
Yeah.
I believe so, but even Julio
Yeah,
Teheran, Anibal Sanchez, like an older guy that had a good year, but there was almost a stretch where and we've talked about this as far as the pitching. You wrote about it as far as the bullpen, but when are we going to really have? I mean, and maybe this is the reason for the change, but you got a guy like Hernandez that the development of these guys, it kind of felt like it plateaued out for a little bit, where it did not have that consistent progression. So we'll see what role he goes into as far as Braves, but time will tell there. Other news for them, which we did say, they're moving on from Chuck Hernandez as far as pitching coach, and he might stick around. But moving into the Tennessee Vols for this week, and obviously it was a little bit of a big week for the Vols, just something. Overall, I mean, I know for Jeremy Pruitt, we did talk about this. I think he's officially the fastest coach, and you might have to help me out with this stat, fastest coach to get to a conference win.
Road conference win against a ranked opponent.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of qualifiers
Yeah.
there. But
ESPN stat.
Yeah, hashtag helps out. But yeah, Jeremy Pruitt fastest to get the road conference ranked opponent win, which Jimbo Fisher was number 2, I think.
They both had
6 games. But Nick Saban,
44 games it took him.
it took him 44 games, which is crazy to think about. I know he didn't immediately struggle. This is probably back in his LSU days, but just some interesting things kind of breaking out, even for other SEC active coaches right now. I know there's a few at the bottom, but always interesting to see. And I think obviously some fans will probably take that to the bank and thinking, it feels like '98 and all that stuff. But I'm happy for Pruitt. We do want to open it up for everyone watching right now. What are your initial kind of takeaways and your reactions to the game? What was the highlight of the win over Auburn for you guys?
Definitely the aired out offense that we kind of hoped we had. We didn't know. We kind of played with the fun, pizzazz, let our big guys. We have possession receivers. We don't have burners.
Yeah.
We have guys that use their body well,
Yeah.
go up and get it type guys. And by God, that's what we did. We had a lot of back shoulder throws. You got a wide array of talent shown from JG this week. I loved it. Loved it. I mean, touch throws to the back shoulder, like I said, and then he had some real zip on there, and he just played lights out. Literally, he was. I said in my article, also shameless plug, that he graded out as the best quarterback on Saturday, according to Pro Football.
SEC Player of the Week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, as of
Huge.
today.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
328 passing yards.
Is this your time?
Yeah.
Okay.
JG.
Same guy.
We didn't, same guy that we wanted to start over. We wanted Keller Chris to start over to start the year, and I know I was salty about it. I was like, "Why didn't we bring in the guy? You're not going to play him." Like
Stanford boy.
But I think a lot of it was we weren't doing the right things to kind of morph our offense around him. I mean, and like we saw a lot of shorter passes, dink and dunk type deals.
Very safe.
Yeah, very safe. Early on, we saw him, as you said, take that long shot. Palmer
Great game.
turned out to be a little bit of a deep threat, man. I know he didn't have a whole lot of catches, but like we just need that one guy to stretch out the safeties, just to push them back, to open up that underneath, that 15-yard end, things like that. It was good to see this week.
For sure, yeah. For me, it's like, who is this team and where did they come from?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the hero, the unsung hero of the game to me, offensive line, looked completely different. And it's funny because, like we talked about last week, Pruitt was talking about Auburn like they were the 85 Bears. We made that joke, but their front seven, which he didn't know, they've got some big dudes. I mean, guys that can stack the box. And I mean, I don't really recall JG getting beat up that much. I know the running game wasn't completely dominant, but that for me was an awesome win and a little victory in the main victory. But it's just something I know it's been a rough 4 or 5 games that we've gone through now, but for those guys to have the confidence, especially coming out of the bye week, going into Alabama week, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, we'll get into that later as far as Bama goes, but one highlight for me too is Jawan freaking Jennings.
Yeah.
And here's my thing. He is a huge receiver. He could almost play tight end, and maybe do what Delaney Walker did and go from a receiver in college and play tight end. He's got the build, and there was the one run that they kept showing highlighted. Caught a simple slant route. Basically, a guy throws himself at Jawan, bounces off, and then Jawan gets 15 more yards, or 10 to 15 more yards, or whatever it was. But yeah, finally get to see what he can bring to the table. Yeah. But like you guys said, I mean, we had vertical threats, and it's really one of those things. As well as JG can throw that ball up, just let those guys go out and get it.
Yeah.
So that was a couple of things I love to see. 10 for 19 on third down, which is always good to have that kind of
who is this team?
efficiency. Yeah,
That's why everything I thought I believed about the Tennessee Vols leading into this week, wipe it clean. I mean, we'll see. We got, as we said, Bama will be a true test next week, because how you do against the best is really, I think a lot of that win was more on Auburn being bad. I don't want to say that it wasn't on Tennessee being good.
I knew it was coming, Chase.
Yeah.
I
was just saying. I think a lot of it was Auburn and letting us win. I mean, not letting us win, but keeping us in the game with their bad play. I mean, Stidham passed the ball way too much, which last week I was like, we want to win.
The Vols held them to 10 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Insane.
Killer.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Killer.
Yeah.
With that big of a line.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have the Kerryon Johnson. They don't have the Cadillac Williams. You want to go back? They don't have a running back that they can just hand the ball to 30 times a game and close their eyes and win half their game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not the Auburn team of old, and I think that they're finally showing their true colors. I mean, Auburn. Yeah. Coming into the season, ranked 4th or 5th or something? I don't know, somewhere in the top 10, and it's just like, are they that good?
I think Tennessee won the game. I mean, that's something that I kind of put in our outline as far as it not, and it's the same thing the Titans get, that the Eagles lost the game, but the Jags lost the game.
Yeah.
I think up until that fourth quarter, the Vols were winning, and I know Auburn scored the late touchdown and almost had the onside kick, which I was thinking right then, it's like, man, if they didn't have that touchdown.
Was it Jennings that got it?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Jennings that caught the onside kick. It was just so appropriate.
But for them to have that, and I know, and same thing for the Titans this week, the score does not always show the actual nuts and bolts of the game.
And we controlled the line of scrimmage.
We did.
For the first time all year on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. I know defensively against Georgia, we saw us firing off and showing our talent that we've known that we had.
Right.
It was like a sleeping giant. It's like, when are these guys going to play like we know they can? But this week we saw the offensive line
finally
handle business.
And good for them. I mean, it's the confidence boost. We've got a couple comments in here. Jake Moskin saying, impressive win this week for the Vols, improving the Big Ten's chances of making the college football playoff. Jared Hill also saying, hot take, Kurt. I thought we were saving this for the end of the show. But we'll see. Yeah, for anyone who's new to the show, a couple things. We do have chat10sports.com that these guys have kind of plugged. Find our blog posts, share them with your friends. Kurt did mention he had a Braves post, which I know we're going to move into a couple things as far as NFL we've talked about. Then Chase had his overly emotional reaction to the Vols win over Auburn, which was up today, already taken off and getting some clicks. And I had one last week as far as the Titans, and the worst case scenario has already happened for them. So check our website out, which is live right now. But also, I know at the end of our show, we have a new segment that we're calling Agree or Disagree. So stick around for that. We do want everyone's interaction. It's supposed to be a lot of fun, or it was last week for us. We had some good feedback as well. Yep. But getting back on track, I know for offensive line, and that's something too. It's such a fundamental group within a football team that if you don't, and this was the Florida game, if you don't have success up front, the rest of the offense is not taking off. And we've talked about, playing offensive line, you kind of appreciate and see what they're doing up front in the trenches. But that's really where the game was won for me.
And that's what Phil Fulmer did so right. Yeah, for so many years, as he went out and that was who he was trying to get more so than that speedster on the outside or that quarterback with the golden arm. He wanted that guy that was going to control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side. Yeah, because honestly, you can put me back there with the best offensive line, and I'll still get 10 yards. You know what I'm saying?
Run the Kurt Wildcat.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing is, we're also down. We're out without 4 of our 8 starting row rotational linemen.
That's crazy.
Jameer Johnson going down yesterday. We're down to our 3rd string guard.
Brandon Kennedy went out.
Yeah.
I think it might have been ETSU or
which full circle here. Last year, Dobbs' senior year, we kept going back to the line being hurt.
Yeah.
Not making excuses this year, man.
Yeah, that's different.
It's just a different team.
Yeah, for sure. And like you talked about too, is we talked about Jimmy Butler being see a neck guy up, and James Conner, and I love that Pruitt's kind of bringing in that mentality of everyone has to be ready to go. We've seen some success with it, so awesome to see that success.
Yeah.
A couple other things that we've got written down here. Let's see here. Defense creates turnovers with 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery, which Jonathan Combo, my God, there was a Combo sighting. Just right place, right time.
We found him.
And that was off pressure from Lex Johnson, man. That dude tore it up.
Yeah.
He and Phillips both just had fantastic days.
Mm-hmm.
We created pressure on Stidham the entire game. And, Congo, right place, right time. He read that out.
Hit him right the numbers.
Yeah, hit him right the numbers. And that boy took off. He got his 10 yards, and he was happy about it.
If you couldn't catch that ball, Combo, I'm having a little bit more hard time. But unfortunately, Combo did tear his ACL.
So sad, man.
Done for the year. I think that's
to see him come this far.
That's kind of his career, though. This is his last year with the Vols.
Brett Senior.
Yeah, this was it.
Wow.
Tough man.
Well,
because he had such high hopes for that guy. He was such a high player.
And you've been through a lot with being Butch's guy and coming into Pruitt's, and I saw a photo of him after the game in the locker room, supporting the team still, and it's something that Combo, any chance you're watching, buddy, we appreciate everything, and I hope the best for you. But kind of moving on here, I know we're transitioning from the big win into Auburn, going into BAMA Hate Week. Obviously, we have our hands full. And this has kind of been my approach, and we've talked about this outright for a while. I want to see a team line up against the Goliath, the David line up against the Goliath, take a punch, wipe it off, and keep coming. And they've had the confidence with the Auburn win, even the Georgia game where they've obviously held in. And what do you know? Our hot take from last week about Georgia, LSU takes over for them and wins their game. But I'm hoping that's some confidence for the players, and it's encouraging for me that even this week they come into the game expecting to win, not just like, oh, we'll see how it goes, guys. It's just not, and I hope they can stay healthy for the remainder of, I know South Carolina's kind of plateauing out a little bit, Missouri and Vandy as well. So hopefully we can stay healthy in this game and then continue on through our schedule. And I'm hoping we're going bowling, but I guess we'll see. But what's your initial, and for everyone watching as well, feel free to throw in your opinion here. What do you want to see from the Vols as they take on the Crimson Tide?
I think you want to see that offensive line play keep where it's at, man. We played well. And I know, like we talked about, run game didn't yardage-wise, but we still had to keep it going.
Yeah.
We have to have the respect, and that's why. When we had these one-on-one matchups this week, it was because they respected our run games, because they respect Ty Chandler and Jordan and all those guys. So seeing those one-on-one matchups, Bama's gonna have to do the same thing, man. They're not gonna be able to slay 8 in the box the whole time.
Right. It's not necessarily about the yardage or the touchdowns.
No.
It's about making the defense respect
Exactly.
your run game and bringing in the safeties, getting their eyes looking in the backfield so that one guy slips behind it. Because it just takes.
That was a Ty Chandler touchdown this week. Yeah.
Oh.
Slip out. Back.
Yeah, just straight down the seam there.
He caught it 3 yards off the line and was gone.
I don't know. I know Tua went out of the game for Alabama last weekend. They had a couple other guys actually get injured. I don't know how much that will really, since Bama basically reloads.
Yeah.
They don't really have any, depth issues, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. I don't know how that factors into the change. If Jalen's playing versus, I mean, even for the Vols, like just scheming and planning to play Alabama. You prepare for both guys, which might make it more difficult for the Vols, but you never know, especially with Pruitt knowing that team so well.
Yeah.
That's part of it. And we'll get to the Titans as well. I know Dean Pease came from the Ravens. Maybe they knew a little insider knowledge, but you never know. But again, like you said, I want to see the offensive line continue to build, which they've got their work cut out for them. But Kurt, what do you think, brother?
First off, I would love it if Tua was not playing.
Yeah.
Let me just say that on the record. The spread at 28.5.
Yeah.
It's hard for that to be disrespectful because it's Alabama.
It is.
I just want to see us go out there and do the same thing we did against Georgia, and that's make them sweat, man.
Right.
Make them earn it.
Yeah.
Not let us beat us. Make them beat us.
Right.
And that's what I want to see more than anything, because it's just gonna be a hard day. I mean, you know that every time you come out against Nick Saban's Alabama, it's gonna be a rough day. They're gonna hit you in the mouth. They're deep. They're a lot deeper than we are.
Oh yeah.
So we've got to play our best game, and I think not to take away from the Auburn win, but coming off a bye week, fresh legs. You got a full 2 weeks. You're tired of hitting your buddies in practice. You want to go take it out on the other guy. Let's see how they bounce back this week. Let's see if there's like an air that's been let out of the balloon, or if this is just a building block and we're moving forward.
And not to mention, we're back at home at Neyland.
Yeah.
I know recent or today officially I believe the South Carolina game has been moved to prime time, but again, that's not relevant to Alabama. But playing at Neyland, you just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, and this was the case for Florida, a lot of fans were hyping up the fact that we were at home to be kind of the 12th man or whatever you want to say. But you never know what's going to happen for those guys. I know my brother's come in here and said, I want to see the Vols show up and be competitive. He said, the insider info really helped the Titans. I was just saying the Ravens knew what we were coming with, not vice versa. But
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting week for sure. I know. I think a lot of Vols fans are becoming more and more patient as time goes on to understand we've got the guy. I think everyone's on, kind of getting to that place. There's probably a few crazy nuts out there that are still saying Pruitt's not the guy, but Pruitt's done more than enough for me personally. I mean, his opening presser, and I've said this before, that impressed me. Even I know Butch had a lot of hype, and every new coach does, but just his simple, to the point, his desire to teach players versus just give them orders and show up and do it. He seems like he actually wants to invest in the players and not just the empire to be built kind of thing. So that's always an encouragement for me. What do you think?
Well, and last week all I heard was Pruitt was the one working solely with the offense, and look what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent coaching. Yeah, there's a lot of reports out that said he was the one working with AG and the receivers all week. Look how it paid off, man.
We're out there laying hands on guys.
Yeah.
And another
Giving them the blessing.
big coaching factor is, it's awesome to see when you look back a week before, Auburn ran that double reverse that they missed on against Mississippi State. Guy was wide open. Well, they tried that trash against us,
Right.
and we blew it up. That's great coaching,
Right.
great film room execution right there.
And you heard positive feedback too from Pruitt throughout the week, praising his guys. And I think he's not quite a Belichick, but he's not really the rah-rah kind of guy. Like, for him to come out and say that we're looking good was I mean, that got me hyped before the game, you know?
And I know a lot of the new schemes and offensive packages and all that stuff, it's obviously going to take some time to click.
Yeah.
And I've given Tyson Helton the run, kind of the rundown as far as his offense being ancient. And I mean, and I saw JG run a couple times where he kind of let himself play his own game, but they really kind of took the reins off of him and let him go. So again, things that we want to see as far as going into BAMA week. I'm hoping that it continued, whatever they did last week. Obviously, the bye week helped for the preparation, but I hope it can continue to move forward and have that progression. But also, one last thing for the Vols, it is something I know for Florida week, there was a ton of recruits in the crowd watching that game at home. Hopefully those phone calls come back through and say, hey guys, remember that rough game that we had? We've got some pieces in place right now, but we want you to come back and contribute in these roles to take us to that next level. Comment coming in here from Matt Pelfrey. Forgive me if I misspelled that.
No,
What is y'all's honest prediction for the Tennessee BAMA game? Great question. That's exactly why we want people commenting for good questions like that.
I think
Be honest. I mean, be honest.
42-21.
Okay.
I don't think it's quite 28.5, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 21.
That's probably, well, if Tua does play, yeah, I say 42,
Yeah,
17, 42, 21.
if Hurts is in the game, it's going to be a short game.
Yeah, and I also could
It's
see
gonna be
because
slow.
they'll be more possession. I think you can see 35-10 also if Hurts plays.
Right.
So, Trey?
Oh, I'm kind of leaning with Kurt. I think they're going to score 40 points. I just hope it's not over the first quarter or the second quarter. I hope it's over the whole game. But like you said, I mean, even if it's something like the Georgia game where we held them to 24-12 for.
And it's a game in the fourth quarter.
Right. But even just enough to make them sweat, like just to get the confidence, kind of continuing to build. I don't expect them to go out and hang 60 on us,
No.
but it's one of those things of 35 to 45, and even if the Vols scored 28 points, I could see it going like that, just to.
And just that the confidence, the announcers said in the game against Auburn that it seemed as if the light just came on for Garantano.
Yeah.
It didn't look forced. He looked so confident. He always knew what to do with the ball.
Right.
He, in the huddle, everything about his manners, it just seemed like it made sense. And maybe it was the bye week, but I think it would be huge confidence boost for an offense riding a little bit of a high right now to put up some points against a really tough BAMA team.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's something too. I mean, even if we go and my brother came in here again saying Bama's going to win the game by 35 points, which I'm taking the under if I'm betting on that game. 28 points is a really good buffer. It's a fair buffer. I think it could be a lot worse. But for the Vols, I mean, going into the fact that we won one of the 4 games of our gauntlet with Florida, Georgia, Auburn, and Alabama, and now South Carolina's kind of evening out and more competitive.
yeah.
It's one of those things. I'm growing confident that we are going to be in a bowl game. But looking through, if we can close that gap, and even if it's less than 28 points, going into the South Carolina game, we've got Charlotte, which should be an easy one. Kind of continue to build that Kentucky, Missouri, Vanderbilt. That's a pretty good ending schedule for a rebuilding program. I just want us to stay healthy. That's my one thing. Like, God, please let us stay healthy.
6-6 in the bowl is our national championship this year.
That's
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm so happy with that. So happy with that.
Yeah, and Matt Pelfrey just asked the same question: do we make it to a bowl? If I'm betting, I'm saying yes right now.
I
So
think it's 6-6.
we're getting kind of hot, right? Not hot, but getting our momentum going in the right time. Yeah, for sure. And Matt did follow up his question with his prediction 42-13. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Matt, stick with us. We'll be talking some Titans here shortly. But next week, obviously, we'll follow up to this game and prepare for the who did I just say we're playing? Just drawing a blank here. South Carolina.
Yeah.
But moving on, we're actually going to go into the Titans. Tennessee Titans are kind of recap their choker of the game against the Baltimore Ravens, which coming out of Bills week and going into the Ravens, you want to see the rebound and you want to see them kind of, especially at home, which it was, and the stat today kind of blew my mind. For me, in my opinion, my initial reaction, and everybody, I'll throw this up here in just a second. who's to blame, but the immediate reaction was it's got to be the ugliest game at home since the Titans came to Tennessee. Obviously, this is the first time for the franchise since the mid '70s that the Oilers got shut out. But ugliest win. At the beginning of the game, the stadium was at 93% capacity, and I know watching the game in the fourth quarter, I'm gonna guess it was probably 15 to 20% full.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those things. They showed a wide shot of the field, and you can see on the opposite side, the north side, the Titans logo.
Yeah,
it's
all
like
through the seats.
that's never a good thing to see that.
The weather didn't help that, of course, but still, it's like it fit the game. It was this nasty, dreary fall day. It's like, go home.
For sure.
Oh, I get you.
I don't know that they ever showed up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. I mean, and we'll propose the question now. It's up on the chat, the Facebook chat. Who is to blame for the Titans' terrible outing against the Ravens?
Everyone.
Amy Adams Strunk, you're in there too.
Yes, the entire team, man. What an awful performance on our offense. I mean, because Terry and I talked, it's our line's bad, Marcus played bad, receivers never one-on-one matchup. We had so many chances to beat corners that I don't think are that great.
Right.
And
Their defensive front. I mean, there was 11 sacks, which everyone will kind of. It's like Voldemort. We won't even talk about that.
Yeah.
and most of those were 4 or 5 man fronts,
Right.
maybe a delayed blitzer.
Right. And no bit. I mean, besides Terrell Suggs, there's really It's a no-name defense.
When they played one of the best games they played all year by far too. I don't want to take anything away from the Baltimore defense. Chase was saying, obviously anytime you get 11 sacks in a game, your offensive line's not doing great. I don't think anyone is here to fight that statement. But I will say one thing that I noticed with Mariota, after he was getting pressured, which is only natural, he was tucking the ball a little quick. His head was coming down. He wasn't watching his receivers that weren't really getting open anyways. But I think he kind of got in his head too. He wasn't, if there was a pocket there at times, which I think there was, he wasn't stepping up into it. He was ducking out and trying to roll around, which is one of the big faults that you always hear people talk negatively about running quarterbacks, is that they don't look to pass first. It isn't their natural reaction to step up into the pocket and continue to watch his routes develop.
Right.
I can't say that I blame him.
Yeah, after 3 quarters of getting pounded. I mean,
I can't say that I blame him, but I think I've been really critical of Mariota in the past, doing that when he doesn't have to.
Right.
We've got to find something, and that's what we tried to pick. Who it was on the offense that let us down, and I think it's is the answer. The receivers weren't getting open, the line wasn't protecting.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a run game, and Mariota, he's just so wishy-washy, man.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll talk about this more towards the end of the show with agree or disagree, our final segment, but stick with us. I did mention I did write on our outline here, the stats speak for themselves, which for the Ravens, 23 first down. They were 13 passing attempts on first down, 19 rushes. Titans had 7 first downs the whole game. Total of 40 plays, which the Ravens had 72. This is the hard one to stomach for me. Total offense was 106 yards for the Titans, which is like, just go home. Just pack it up. Thanks for having us. Go home.
What's the other one? Does Marcus had 10 completed passes with 11 sacks?
Yeah, he had more sacks than completions, which that absolutely. And he was actually the leading rusher as well for 2 carries for 25 yards, which we've been talking about. I mean.
But we shouldn't depend on Mariota to break out a long run every game to get the offense. It was like we did see him pick up a third down. I think a longer third down. He ran up the right sideline there. We shouldn't have to depend on that. That's not, and you shouldn't have to do that because Mariota. I mean, yes, he's very agile, but he's not a real big dude. We don't want him out there taking shots.
Right. And we talked about last week for Derrick Henry. Being as big as he is, he makes contact, and again, we saw the exact same thing. My brother and I were actually texting. During the game, you see him run to a guy, and he just falls over, and it's one of those things that we talked about for anyone that did not actually watch the show live last week for Agree to Disagree, we said agree to disagree or agree or disagree that Derrick Henry is a bust. I don't think we all committed to that, but I think he has a lot to prove still. Especially, I know he had a couple good runs last year, and with DeMarco Murray being gone now, I don't know if it's something with the offensive scheme like we were talking about prior to the show. Like, is it a zone running thing, which he did at BAMA, and it's LaFleur's like bread and butter for his style of offense? It's like, what needs to happen? Is it a Ben Jones, a Josh Klein, is it a Quentin Spain issue? Like, obviously we have the bookends, but the guts of our offensive line, I swear, 4, 5, 6 of those sacks, I was seeing Josh Klein or Ben Jones just, kind of throwing their hands up after the play, like they're the guy closest to the quarterback because everyone else is blocking their guys over here. So it's kind of the question that I know we talked about in the hot topics. Do we go after a receiver and trade for a receiver? My question is, do we go after an interior offensive lineman that can really help us boulder it up front?
Yeah, I don't think there's one place that we
Can
need
really address
improvement the most. I think it's just we need improvement all around, and we may have the pieces.
Yeah,
like you said, new coordinator, but I'm tired of that excuse, man. Like that's been our excuse for years, is why we can't get an offense going. And at a certain point, like players make plays,
right?
So
and it's frustrating too, because like we've seen in the Jags game, they weren't pretty. The Texans, they weren't pretty wins, but the coaches made the proper preparations and proper adjustments to get the wins. We saw the Wildcat, which I want to see more of, because by God, Henry was actually having success in that package. I know we don't actually have the and you mentioned this a second ago. It seems like we have so many holes to plug, which it can go from the extreme. And here's my thing too, kind of throwing a little bit of perspective with this. We're 3-3. There's a few games that we probably should have lost that we won, and here we're sitting 2 weeks after 2 games that we should have won that we actually lost.
Yeah.
So it's kind of if we were, even preseason, the Titans' schedule, if we looked at it before the year started, it's like, okay, we'll probably lose to the Jags. Texans are being overhyped with Deshaun Watson, which everyone's kind of showing who they are right now. I think 3-3. I think a lot of people had us at 3-3 prior to the season. Just not the way that we thought we would get.
Complete opposite.
Right.
Beat the Dolphins, beat the Bills,
So we got Chargers
in London
at 9:30 for Sunday, which I'm used to get up Sunday morning early to watch some Premier League football.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be awesome for me as the Gramps of the group. Then we go play Cowboys, who Lord knows what we'll see from them
on a Monday night.
Back to the Patriots, a different Patriots team. Colts are looking rough after that. Texans are looking rough. Jets are looking rough. So really a big 3 games. The Chargers have been pretty damn good this year.
Well, we mentioned before, Cowboys blow out the Jags, which we barely got a win.
You never know what you're getting with the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's nothing new either.
Last week we thought Jason Garrett was going to get fired. Here
we go.
40.
I still think he should get fired.
Yeah.
I think the words I use on my group chat is he's the physical embodiment of mediocrity. He's a mediocre looking dude too.
He's nowadays Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, he's nothing to
He
speak of.
really is.
All right. Let's
just being honest.
blasphemy now. Let's not talk about the fish like that.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Here's my one question, and this is something that I've had conversations with other people about, and everyone, if you're watching, I know we've got a few followers, a few viewers in here as well. We mentioned coaching and winning the games that we should have lost, and now here we are on the other side of the coin. Some of the play calling, especially when they're bringing so many different fronts and they're bringing so many different types of blitzes, was Matt LaFleur's play calling a concern for you?
Yes. A big one they were harping on yesterday during
Losing our sign here.
Having bad problems tonight.
technical difficulties. As they're talking about during the broadcast, was with Derrick Henry, he has established himself as a volume back. Like when he only gets 7 carries, he can't get in that rhythm. For him, he is nowadays NFL, he has to be 17 plus carries because he is a 3-yard, 4-yard, 5-yard, -1, 66.
Yeah,
that's what he is.
Stats. He had 7 carries.
He's not that bad.
And you know how many times we've seen Deion Lewis get 31 carries.
Right.
Like, come on. You know,
Which I respect his game, but come on,
And that's what we kind of had when Henry was the second back and DeMarco Murray was the first back. We were very married to the run game,
right.
yeah,
and that's the type of running backs we had.
yeah,
So at a certain point, it's either you find players that fit the system, or you change your system to fit your players.
yeah,
But one of them has to happen. And Derrick Henry is not one of those, like you said, boom or bust guys. He's the guy that you've got to feed him the ball
yeah.
and let us chew up the clock, wear down the defense, take some of it off of Mariota.
Yeah. I get some of the reasoning because I can see why LaFleur called the game the way he did because the guy hits, and then maybe it's offensive line. If they're not making the holes and he shouldn't be running into guys in the first place,
It's true.
that's one thing. I get why he's not kind of doubling down and keep calling the same thing.
Right.
But again, I want to see more Wildcat. It's not a cool, sexy offensive thing to do in this day and age's NFL offense or offensive schemes that we see with the Rams being so hot. I mean, Goff and Brady and Aaron Rodgers being able to just heave the ball for 400 yards a Sunday. It's like, all right, we know what you want to see. At the same time, just do what you got to do to get the win.
Yeah.
I don't care how it looks. I don't care if we win games 9-6. If we win, we win.
That's how we won last year.
Exactly, and that's
pretty.
kind of tying in here to Alan Duckett Jr.'s comment. It's kind of looks like the offense that we had from last year at times, and the offensive line cannot block. It doesn't matter what is called.
Yeah.
Touche. That's a great point, Alan.
Well, it's the difference between a downhill run scheme and a zone run scheme, and you know this because you played line.
Mm-hmm.
The pieces that we have on the line that I've praised in the past for being one of the best lines in the league
Right.
are a downhill. Lawan, all those guys, they want to go up to that next level, that linebacker, that safety.
Yeah.
It just seems awkward. It seems forced, and we're not. I don't know if it's the coaching or if it is just those linemen don't relate well to that, and it's just a transitional period right now. And I'm not making excuses, but I think a lot of what we're seeing is the new scheme.
Well, let me drop a bomb on you. But last week, and everyone who's watching this as well, feel free to give us your opinions. But according to Player Football Focus, after 5 weeks, the Titans had the number 7 overall offensive line.
Yeah.
Which to me, it's we're used to the Lawans and the Conklins, and even the I know Klein. Heck, I think it was week 2 that he had a couple blocks that were just like Hockadat. You wanted to start doing some Hocka dance, but I mean they've proven themselves, both Spain and Klein. Obviously Robinson felt the confidence to extend Klein.
Yeah.
They signed the tender for Spain, and Ben Jones is just a good old wildly veteran guy that they can do it.
And he can play multiple positions.
Right, and the versatility's there. But even like we said with the Vols, something just clicked, with their offense. And I'm kind of waiting to see that as far as the Titans. I know we've said it week after week, new scheme. But it's I'm getting, and like you said, Kurt, I'm getting sick of saying the same excuses.
Yeah. Every year.
So next week we're going across the pond, and like you mentioned before, the Titans have a little bit of a gauntlet of their own. Chargers, who are surging. Cowboys just blew out the Jaguars. Patriots beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who are
You get a full circle here.
yeah,
After the Chargers, bye week.
that's true. Take a breather.
So what if we come back from the bye week? Everyone's bought in. Everyone's on the same page, and it's a totally different offense. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it is the pieces
I don't know.
that aren't there.
And you see what you've seen LaFleur's success. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
he had Matty Ice his MVP year. Look what he did with Jared Goff. So you wanted to see that. You're like, oh, we finally got that guy for Marcus.
Quarterback whisperer, man.
Well, here's my question: with those 4 games in the bye, I know that's a valuable time to kind of rest and recuperate. We didn't really talk much about the defense, not a lot of pass rush, but we're gonna probably move on to the closing segment here shortly. I want to ask this question to you guys as well, and people who are watching, feel free to throw your comments up as well. What has to happen for your confidence to be restored in the Titans? Of those 3 games of the next 4 weeks, I doubt we win all 3.
No.
But what do you want to see if we win 1 or 2 of those games? What has to happen in the games? I mean, for me, I'll kind of kick us off. I want to see an established running game.
Yeah.
I I want to, and here's the thing, and we'll talk about this for agree or disagree. But for Mario to not have so much pressure to have to do so much, I want to see him be able to breathe a little bit, allow defenses to consider the multi-dimension of our offense versus it being shut down Mariota, blitz the crap out of them. Like you said, they had 6-7 guys in the box at times, and it's like, well, I don't care if they pass the ball. They're obviously not going to run the ball on us, so let's make this kid beat us. But what do y'all want to see over the next few weeks?
For me personally, I think I need to see somebody else on the receiving core, and we all hoped that was Johnny Smith when Delaney went down.
Right.
You can clearly see how much that hurts us. We have no one, and I kind of thought maybe Dion Lewis, maybe a Tajay, maybe a John, somebody was going to step up. We have to have somebody else because, I think I'm a little different than Kurt. I think Corey can be a true number one,
Right.
but he's not. He's had one game that's proved me right.
Mm-hmm.
Other games, he's been mediocre.
One
to
thing
average.
that I'm noticing with him is if you have like a quick out hitch or out route or whatever it is, if that ball's not exactly where he wants it to be, he just lets up and stops.
Yeah.
Which I remember guys like Chad Ochocinco, you'd see guys laying out, and Terrell Owens, and I want to see, and again, when the ball's on him, great. But I want to see, and that's one thing that kind of irked me about Corey Davis, but just something that I noticed watching the game. But
where were Tajay Sharp and Taywan Taylor?
Hey, Tajay led in receptions with
I understand.
233.
2 for 33. Sweet.
I'm just saying, what?
Hope you had no one on the Titans roster in your fantasy group.
Which we didn't talk about this last week, but we wanted to revisit it. But talking about respect and Kyle Brandt's comments about why the Titans are not getting any respect, because Lawan, for anyone who's been under a rock for the last couple weeks, Lawan came out and said after the Philadelphia Eagles game, it's time for the national need to recognize the Titans and give the due respect, which Kyle Brandt gave his argument. We're going to let Grandpa Kurt go off here a little bit, but his response to that, because it is relevant to the fact that why do you think you want respect? Go ahead.
So the term I would use was the remarkably unremarkable, because there isn't a star on either side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We're a small market.
Yep.
And it's just, we get a quiet quarterback. Usually the quarterback is the vocal leader. We're odd, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And I think it's worked for us in the past, but I think we're getting away from that. If, as we said before, is the quarterback whisperer, but Mariota's been dubbed a kind of more of a game manager, and Alex Smith, things like that in the past. Is that his peak? Is that what we have to keep him? We can't have a game manager and only run the ball 15 times. You have to pound the rock with the run, and then let that open up the passing game for him. And I think we put too much on Mariota. I don't think Mariota's bad. I don't think Corey Davis is bad. I don't think Derrick Henry is bad. I just don't think they're stars.
No.
And I don't think any of them are going to take over a game. And same thing with the defense. You have Jarrell Casey out there. He's Pro Bowl, perennial Pro Bowl. Vaccara's been hurt. He would help a lot.
Wesley Woodyard, he's I see the missing piece for our defense right now.
Right. But we're missing Delaney. And is it mentally that big of a deal to Mariota to not have that Delaney Walker there, this safety blanket that he always had last season? Maybe.
That might be my selfish plug or my shameless plug. Yeah, that's something I wrote about for the site last week at chat10sports.com. Is the worst possible scenario for the Titans has already happened with Delaney going out. And it's something that you see that with the gap in the receiving, because Mariota, don't get me wrong, I think John, and this is something I wrote about as well, but Jonnu cannot be the same guy as Delaney, but if you bring someone else in, and I think Max Williams for the Ravens, if we traded for a guy like that who could be a pass threat and kind of go in cahoots with Jonnu, you don't have to have the one guy that can fill his shoes, but two guys could. Just to take the pressure off, even with blocking. I know Luke Stalker's had a couple good passes.
We love Luke.
You're a former Vol. We love that for sure. But it's one of those things. It's not gonna win the day's bacon with a guy like Jonnu who's not being properly utilized. and an old guy who's not really considered a defensive scheme, a defensive coordinator's, worst nightmare.
Yeah, who's what's his name?
Ferkser. He's a
Ferkser.
Harvard grad, baby.
Hey man,
Dude,
you never know.
He had some good passes.
You never know.
And that was something that Vrabel talked about post game was, we tried to get him going because he's a quick, little, speedy tight end.
Yeah.
But again, it's something that we'll see what happens. Alan did come in here. He says, "I just want us to look competitive." Marcus looked so confident in the Eagles game. The running game has to be a factor. Absolutely, Alan. Thanks a lot for your comment there. But yeah, it's something that time will tell. I think for us, like we were saying a second ago, we're 3-3. It's a clean slate. We're still somehow in first place in the AFC South.
Says about the division.
Time will tell. Yeah, but kind of moving on here. I know we're getting we're past 8 o'clock right now, but this is the fun part of the show. So if you are watching, we want you to get your fingers ready. If you're typing on your phone, if you're watching on your laptop, this is our segment called Agree or Disagree. And during this segment, we've got a simple idea. We're going to give a hot take, and then we're going to give our opinions about that, defending them if we agree or not, and why that is the case. So feel free to jump in. We didn't talk a whole lot about defense, but a guy named Michael Crabtree, who has had a pretty solid career, had a field day, and it's something for a lot of people and a lot of Titans fans. Malcolm Butler, in my opinion, has been a liability in our secondary. This is my hot take, for the record. I'll own this one, unlike some others that we've had before. But Malcolm Butler, agree or disagree, Malcolm Butler was a complete waste of money.
Chase?
Yeah, 100% to me. Before this week, for his dominance, or before he got dominated by Michael Crabtree, a couple routes in the end zone, you saw that. He was ranked out as the 58th best corner, and he's our number 1 right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So we can only imagine that's went down since this last weekend. So yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a big waste.
I mean, complete waste? I'll disagree. Maybe a waste is accurate. I think physically he has everything you're looking for. Athletically he has everything you're looking for. I think some of his problems maybe mentally. I feel like he gets kind of lost. He seems like he's not on the same page as the rest of the defense. Sometimes you see him get burnt.
Yeah.
But when he's on, he could shut down Michael Crabtree. It's just.
He could.
I don't want to say complete waste, but he's been rough this season.
For that kind of
The
thing.
the contract for 5 years for up to $61 million. That's a lot of cash money. I think it might be one of the biggest contracts that we've had in the last 5 years. But a couple stats here that they actually showed during the broadcast. I had to pause and kind of take these notes down here. But currently, Malcolm Butler, according to Pro Football Focus, who they've been kind of wishy-washy, kind of like a Bleacher Report.
Yeah.
Some weeks you love them, some weeks you don't. Take this with a grain of salt, but tied for 12th with the most targets in the NFL with 32. Currently tied for the 4th most receptions with 23. He is the number 1 spot here. He has allowed the most receiving yards in the NFL with 405. That's before yesterday's game, mind you.
Wow.
So he's currently tied for the 2nd most touchdowns in the NFL, and he's given up 4 touchdowns. Joe Flacco, when you let him sit back, there's no pass rush. I mean, I get Malcolm Butler's probably being exposed, and they did pick on him.
Yeah.
Being my hot take, it is something I'm going to say absolutely. It's as of right now, until you prove me otherwise, it's a complete waste of money. Might be John Robinson's worst ordeal since Kevin Dodd. Again, this is a hot take. Agree to disagree. We got a couple folks jumping in here. Alan Duckett Jr. says he agrees. Gavin Jones, he agrees. My brother Matt Wynn, who would you replace Butler with? He says he agrees. But who do you fill the gap in? I'll tell you exactly who. LaShawn Sims.
Yeah.
LaShawn Sims is a guy that a lot of people in the preseason have said. Charles Davis, who I have, former Vol. He's got a good opinion.
Yeah, of course.
Had a great education in Knoxville. But he said LaShawn Sims is a guy that for other 31 teams, he could be starting for them. We've got Adoree, we've got Malcolm Butler, we've got Logan Ryan, so he's kind of sitting back behind some names. But if you cut Malcolm Butler loose, I don't think that we're sitting in a bad spot necessarily, and we'd be however many dollars richer from his contract for this year. So if you haven't posted that yet, we might skip over you, but feel free to go ahead and be interactive with us there. But our second agree to disagree for this week, and move into some NBA here. I won't tell you who this is from, so I'll keep it kind of mysterious. But agree or disagree, the Golden State Warriors might as well be given the championship right now.
I'll go ahead and take credit for this one. I'll throw that out there. I don't want to hide behind the shadows. I agree. I thought this was something I was looking at today with the NBA starting on Wednesday. This is, to me, and I'm sure some of these old school guys are going to give me credit, give me heck for it, but this is the best starting five of all time. I mean, I don't even think it's close personally. Starting five wise, yeah, their bench could probably use a little work. They don't really need it, but yeah, I think I think it's a clear no-brainer. I think they might get a little trouble. Celtics could win 2 games in a series, maybe.
Yeah.
Close to
That's the one team that
Yeah.
I would think, I looked up the odds today for who could win there. Obviously, I think the Warriors are positive. You might have to help me out there with the betting stuff. I'm not a huge guru on it, but they've got obviously really great odds to win. I said I disagree simply because there's no better 5 than to start in the Toon Squad with Michael Jordan, Bill Murray, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Little Bunny.
Very true.
So
Very true.
don't come at me with that stuff. No, I mean, yeah, like I said, the Celtics are the one team that really, and the Lakers, you don't know what the Lakers are until the lights are on, they're on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great spot in the world.
So we'll see.
I'd agree. I mean, as well. What are you gonna do about that?
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know, because, I mean,
You
again, preseason, Deshaun Watson was the MVP.
Yeah.
And whereas here, Mahomes was a household name, for being, he's got a cannon of an arm, but here he is with, 14, 15, 16 touchdowns and 2 picks.
Yeah, so Boogie's hurt to start the season. So barring Boogie staying off the roster and maybe Kevin Durant being out for the year, let's just go ahead and wrap it up now.
That's another one is with Boogie. People talk about it. He could be a cancer. That locker room has too many big personalities to calm down Boogie. And Boogie's the most talented 5-man.
Got a couple hot takes here as well. Great job, nephew. That's my uncle. Thank you, Uncle Ken. Allen. Allen is coming in, agree, barring injuries. Gavin Jones, my man, coming through, said absolutely disagree with the Warriors. The Warriors have to put together a video game type of team, but the Lakers have signed a lot of veteran, edgy players. Time will tell.
I think
Go ahead.
chemistry, man.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on it. You can't create it on paper.
Yeah.
There has to be that thing. I think it's a point with the Lakers there.
Yeah.
You got Lance Stevenson, Rondo, some of these gritty guys that
Lance
they
Stevenson.
played the Warriors a lot. I mean,
They're as they come off as selfish. Somebody like Lance, big personality, but he's actually a selfless player.
yeah,
They distribute the ball well.
it's young talent. Brandon Ingram, Kuzma.
Yeah.
I'm going for the Lakers. I mean, I want to see Kyrie have success in Boston as well, in which I know there's been the drama between him coming out and saying that leaving Cleveland was the best thing he's done. So we'll see what happens. I know the Lakers rivalry.
So said everyone that ever left Cleveland.
Right. Yeah, and Kevin Love actually saw today came out and said there were some pretty dark times with LeBron in house, but. Yeah, moving on. Thanks so much for your interaction. We've got a few more here that we're going to go through. And Titans fans, this is a hot topic. We might spend a little time on this one. But agree or disagree, it is time for the Tennessee Titans to move on from Marcus Mariota.
This guy. That one's mine.
Do it.
So.
You defend yourself, and we'll let you know.
Yeah. Let me start by saying that we can still be really good with Marcus Mariota, but I don't think we will ever be great. I think he is a game manager. I think he's middle of the road. Talent-wise, he checks boxes. He's got. You don't need the mobility. He does have a good arm. He's got a great brain. He's a great leader, great dude. Never wanted anybody to be better in, all my life. But at the end of the day, what has he done for us? I mean, he's not taken us anywhere. I don't think that Alex Smith couldn't, or a lot of the game manager, guys that won't lose you the game, but they're not going to go out and win it for you either. I feel like we have to put a big name receiver out there to cover up for them, or we need to go out and get a better quarterback. I mean, so one of the two has to happen. We can't be just vanilla, from top to bottom on our roster. And I feel like there's not that guy that you're like,
So you're agreeing with Kyle Brandt's take. The reason that we don't have the respect that the Titans want is there's no real guys like for fantasy football players. No one on your lineup that's saying maybe Delaney Walker, who's out,
right?
But Davis is not giving you the love fantasy and statistically that you want out of a wide receiver one.
And I think even like, and this is a pipe dream and totally off the cuff here, but like, with talking about OBJ, I think not necessarily him, he's, in my opinion,
but the impact.
A locker room cancer, but I think somebody that caliber would fit well with Mariota because he's not going to take from the spotlight, and he's going to cover up for some of the shortcomings that Mariota has, and he's going to go get those balls that maybe weren't thrown the best.
That's a really interesting example because Mariota's quiet, Eli Manning quiet.
Yeah,
they can throw the ball, and here we've seen. I know somehow, some way, Lil Wayne's gotten involved with the whole New York Giants drama.
Really?
I mean, OBJ said something about he's kind of insinuating that he's ready to move on from Eli or whatever it is. I think OBJ would absolutely wreck the.
Oh, I don't want OBJ.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. Like you have to have that guy to do it. But
the stereotypical diva receiver, the Dez of 5 years ago,
right?
The Ocho Cinco of 10 years ago. Yeah. There has to be somebody to take the spotlight, and right now that guy's is Taylor Lewan on
our star shouldn't be our
left tackle. And not saying that he cannot be the best player on our team. That's fine.
The last time the best player on the team on the left tackle was the Browns for a long time.
That's exactly.
I'm not going to compare us to the Browns of old, but it's one of those things. I know it's time will tell. You want to go first or me go first?
Far away.
All right. We've got a couple comments. We'll go ahead and visit those. My brother with the agreement. Alan Duckett Jr.'s come in and said so hard to evaluate him with everything that has gone on. Matt's firing back at Alan saying it's pretty true. Hard to judge with the coaching changes. Yeah. Gavin Jones comes in disagree. The Titans need another receiver who can go up and get the ball. Maybe one of the Vols players can suit up 1 week since they did so well against Auburn. But the running game has to perform in the team. It's a team sport. Given Mariota has not performed to his fullest potential, he can't do it by himself. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me make my case here because I completely disagree. I'm not just a Mariota lover for the sake of, hey, he's a cool Hawaiian kid and Mari Goda and Aloha blank that Clay Travis likes to put out there. So between the weak offensive line play, the shoddy play calls that we've talked about between LaFleur, not to mention he's gone through, Wisenhunt drafted him, right?
Yes.
Okay, went through Wisenhunt, has gone through Malarkey, that whole debacle, the offensive changes and the offensive coordinator changes. If you survive Terry Robisky's, God help you. It's one of those things. I know we're still getting this offensive scheme down. I think like the Vols had this last week, it's almost the feeling of it clicks. And when it clicks, and even we've talked about before, Dan Orlovsky, who's now with the NFL Network, has gone on record saying, having played in LaFleur's style offense, it takes time, and every quarterback I've seen in that scheme is going to struggle. Mariota, here's the thing. I've watched his pressers after games, and I know he's the quiet, shy kid in the class, and he just shows up and does it. But he's getting a little bit more direct. After the game yesterday. So what's going through your head? How does it feel after this game? Not good. What do you want from the guy? He's not going to fluff it up and give you on a silver platter as far as what he's wanting. You said, what has he done? He's won a playoff game for the first time for the Titans. And how long?
Was it 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, and you know as well as I do, Jags game and Chiefs game, he took that game over.
Right.
And that's where I think John Robinson had a decision to make. Do you give him the reins with Malarkey and Robisky still at the helm? Obviously, they did not want to break up their buddy system. They had to move on to a guy like LaFleur. And I still stand by Robinson in doing that, even though some folks are saying, oh, what a terrible move by JR. But absolutely, I disagree. I've made my case.
I've been a little back and forth on this one today. I'm gonna disagree, and I'm gonna play a little bit of middle ground, but more so, I guess we'll say 60-40 disagree. I think Marcus doesn't have that vocal leadership that most people want to see. I think his demeanor sometimes reflects on our team. Like there just wasn't any energy last 2 Sundays. And I think Marcus being such a low-key, laid-back guy, like I think that reflects.
Yeah.
The leadership's going to reflect that. So, as much as Taylor Lewan, Woodyard, and then no Delaney, not having 2 of those guys on the field at all times,
Right.
it's really hurting us. And I think that I'm with you. I think we give Marcus 1 year in the floor system. Let this.
Look at Jared Goff right now.
I know exactly. That's what I'm saying is maybe this is that transition year. He just takes a beating.
Right.
It looks bad, but then
I hope so.
like we were talking about,
Yeah.
it wound up being Matty Ice's MVP year
Yeah.
before at the quarterback helm. So I'm with you.
But-
Get a few more guys, but I think, it's one of those. Get him a competitor. I think
Yeah.
we should draft somebody. I do. I think we should draft somebody.
A quarterback.
A quarterback. Maybe a top 3 round quarterback.
Which that answers Gavin Jones. Who do you replace Mariota with?
I don't think you can replace it right now. Like that's,
Yeah, but
that's
if you draft a guy, I mean that sets you up that if it does go south, because this is a big year for Mariota. Either you make it or break it, being a contract year for him.
But I think if you look at Matty Ice and Jared Goff, those are people that take 3 steps and throw the ball somewhere, step up into the pocket and throw the ball somewhere.
yeah.
He's got to put aside the fact that he could outrun people. He's got to remove that from his mind if he wants to buy into
Yeah.
this scheme. He's got to buy
Yeah.
into staying in the pocket.
But
Because
his
as much-
running game is also on life support right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ways, and like Alan Duckett Jr. came in and said, there's so much to consider when you evaluate him.
Yeah.
It's hard to really. I mean, I'm sure it would be very much divided if we were to put a poll out. We're getting close to 8:30 here, so we'll probably have to wrap up with this last agree or disagree, which we appreciate everybody's feedback. We got one more here. Agree or disagree? After last night's performance against the Patriots, is Patty Mahomes still leading the MVP race?
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously, I mean, look at stats. The guy just threw his first 2 picks of the year last night, and still had a great game. I mean, I know they lost, but you lost to a hot Patriots team, fully loaded Patriots team, and once again, the Chiefs' defense is their biggest liability. So yeah, I think Patty Mahomes is still the best and most exciting player in football right now.
Yeah.
So
I think it's hard to pick someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the ceremonial pick would be Drew Brees. As many records as he's broken, that's somebody that clear leader in that
love that
in
guy.
that locker room. I mean, still, Brady's still 40 plus doing it.
Yeah.
The old man strength, baby.
Oh man.
But I think Mahomes is the sexy pick. Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Unless he comes out and flops the rest of the season, I think he's got a good chance for
What
it.
do you know? I'm the oddball out.
Here you are.
I disagree. I think it's sexy. I think it's cute. Like we talked about, offensively, everybody wants the guy to throw 500 yards and throw 10 touchdowns in 2 games or whatnot. But I think at some point in time, and this is what happened with the Chiefs last year, they eventually break down. Andy Reid has that kind of Jeff Fisher stigma, and it's nice that he has Mahomes, and Mahomes might be his ideal go-to style quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think Breeze knows how to do it over the stint of 16 games plus. But it's one of those things that I think Breeze can take. Look at it this way: if Breeze was on the Titans roster right now, how would have yesterday have gone, or even the Bills game? And it's because Brady can take guys. Like, who is Chris Hogan, right? I saw him in a cafeteria once, and he's like, he's off the street kind of guy. I didn't actually see him in the cafeteria once, but he's basically off the street kind of guy that Brady put on the map. Look at Eric Decker. Look at a guy like Peyton Manning takes Demaryius Thomas. Where has he been? I think he's actually on the trading block as well. But I think Mahomes could be that guy one day. But I think right now my vote. I'm not betting on it or anything like that. Not that I have any skin in the game, but I think Drew Brees will find a way, especially with the AFC or the NFC South. As far as going playoffs and everything, I think they're going to have some competition there. But I think Brees knows how to do it, just old man strength and just the wisdom of how to do it, how to keep yourself healthy. Because Mahomes can't. I don't know how many times he's throwing per game, but at some point in time, I know Tyreek Hill. It's going to be a fun connection, but there's also ways to shut that down.
Yeah.
So
Don't sleep on Cam either.
I sleep on Cam every night.
Every single.
I'm just saying, with the talent that he's got around him right now, the fact that he's still pulling it together, I don't think Cam gets enough credit. I think a lot of that is because of how he behaves.
Yeah.
And I
Very
think
true.
he should get less credit for the reason, the way that he behaves.
He is a
I'm not a big
special
Cam.
talent.
I'm not a Cam guy.
But how long has it been since he's thrown a pick? It's been a long time. I can't remember the
Cam?
stat. Yeah.
He threw one yesterday, didn't he?
I know, but that was
okay.
the first one in
I was
a
gonna say.
long time. He's not giving the game away. Devin Funchess is his best receiver. I mean, maybe, unless you count Christian McCaffrey, who's allegedly a running back.
That's something like a hybrid.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
He's
now.
part tight end.
Yeah.
We've got a couple comments here. My brother said, yeah, one game won't change that. He agrees that Mahomes is still the guy. Alan Duckett Jr., yep, he's agreed. Maybe Breeze in the running. And Gavin, man, you got to keep these responses coming. I'm loving them. He says, disagree. Khalil Mack has lit a forest fire in the
very
Bears
true.
defense, and Breeze is second to Mahomes. Wait. Breeze is second and Mahomes in third.
Wow.
Gavin, stick around.
Hot
Dude.
take.
Like our page,
Wow.
man. We want people like you. But yeah, we're wrapping up here, guys. It's been another great week. Oh man, I can't believe we've gone a little bit over. Not a huge deal, but it's one of those things. It's been fun interacting with everybody. We do this every single week. If you're new to our page, like us on Facebook. We're on Twitter and Instagram as well. Chat10sports.com, which we actually every week each of us will write a blog post to get that out there. We've had some really good traction and interaction with everybody there. But again, for agree to disagree, if any other topic, if any other sports team that you want to have coverage on, I know Vanderbilt's been doing pretty well. That's one crazy topic that actually happened. Dan Mullen versus Derek Mason.
Yeah.
I'm putting my money on Mason, but
Yeah.
that was a near fight on the field there. Yeah, another great show in the books. This is episode number 8. But yeah, be back here next week, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, we will check you. Preds are up 1-0 right now, but we will check you. Feel free to shoot us a message of anything that you'd like for us to cover. Have a great rest of your week, folks. Go Vols, go Titans, go Braves, go Preds.